So Sangsing Thamji Panjakin Pagwe Norji Jambarcha. Give up all material objects and adorned by the wealth of the excelled. So ordinarily for us, ordinary people, the most important thing is ordinary wealth. Juchala, ordinary wealth. But for the excelled beings, that means the superior beings, the spiritually enlightened or realized beings, it is not the ordinary wealth, the material wealth, but the spiritual wealth, which is important. So therefore, that is the meaning. And adorned by the wealth of the excelled. What? Because in the case of the ordinary wealth, it is in Tibetan, it's called sangsing, meaning that by getting it, sangising is so change. So ordinary wealth is really like illusion, and it is not much essence, and it can easily increase or it easily vanish. Today you may be rich, tomorrow you may be a pauper. It can be stolen, it can be, in Dharmsala it can be, it can become moldy. And of course we have to work hard very much, selling one's commodities and buying from other people. The text who needs text? Here's the text. The man with the text comes last. This one. And then, for the sake of getting the wealth, you really have to be extremely busy. As I mentioned yesterday, everywhere these days people say, I'm busy, he's busy, she's busy. Busy for what? For getting money, for getting wealth. And because of this desire for happiness in general, and especially, desire for wealth, you need to run hither and thither. You need to run in all directions. America Chinada, Europe Chinada, Jagarshal Chinada, Nubla Chinada, And by even after running so much, when you are unable to fulfill your desire, then you get suffering, you get problem. So it is really like, a forest, a part of which is already aflame. So right in the beginning, it is important that you should not crave or grasp too much on wealth. Because right in the beginning, if you get addicted to greed, then it will be kind of unstoppable process. And it is because of this, many of these great practitioners, they say that this material wealth is really like a poison flower. A poisonous flower which at a distance looks good, but if you touch it, it will harm you. Poisonous flowers will be picked up only by innocent children, not grown-up people, because grown-up people, they know this is poisonous tree, this flower is also poisonous. But the small kids, they don't know, because the flower looks good, they go there. And unfortunately, it is because of this, these days people also invent bombs, what they call as smart bombs, which looks like toys. And then small kids playing, they pick up those small bombs, and then it will explode and kill many people. So anything that is very attractive, very beautiful, we have to be very careful. Anything that is extremely attractive, very beautiful, we have to be a little bit careful. Because your senses can be easily duped and you can get into a big mess. And there are many cases of people losing their life going after wealth. People go to army and get killed. Why do they go to army? To get salary, to get money. Therefore going to business and so forth. So this material wealth is a little like salty water. The more you drink, the more you get thirsty. Penna pinga pepe ki chidang ke jende chena. That the gas and Dixon say the kasesel hyagur. What is the limit by which we can say now this is enough? Is it 1,000 rupees? 10,000 rupees? In a month, let us say, or 50,000 rupees? How much is how much? There's no end. The more you get, the more it is better for you. So this is human unchecked greed and unchecked desire. Everyone? It's like somebody that has got mange, or skin diseases. The more you scratch, the more it will become itchy. There's no limit. Unless you have some contentment, there's no limit to that. And the root cause of that running for wealth is desire, and the desire comes from that person, that self. Ngalago, I need this, 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 all the time. That's the process. So, in the long run, it will harm you unless you have some check and balance. You must understand this properly. So instead of running after material wealth, there are few really spiritual wealth. And adorned by the wealth of the excelled means you just like putting on the ornament, you should get this few spiritual wealth, spiritual inner qualities. If you have that, no thieves can steal, no robbers can rob, and it will not also become an excessive baggage. The ordinary wealth becomes an excessive baggage. Those of you who have traveled by aeroplane, you are permitted to carry 15 clothes. If you bring more than 15 clothes, they will charge you. Madam, sorry, excess baggage. And Buddha told about this a long time back. Anything that you possess more than you want, it's an excess baggage, and you will have to charge for that. So these inner qualities. So here he lights 7 inner qualities. 1, faith. Faith means delighting in doing virtuous practices. You must cultivate this as one of the most important inner wealth. I have explained this yesterday. Then next, ethics, ethical discipline. Second, if you have ethics, if you have morality basically means proper way of life. If you have a proper way of life, wherever you go, whatever be the situation, you will be happy. If you have not done anything for which you have to regret, naturally you will always be happy. Contrarily, if you try to be extra clever and cheat people, deceive people, exploit people, engage in corruption, people may or may not know it, but you know it. So your conscience will not leave you in peace. Milame thungi dinde. Nimo da hago masun tong doje. Chen la soso hago se milam thu. Police kun juba dinde milam da chiye yoro. Right? Really? So this inner qualities, morality is like the ground. If there's a ground, then you can stand on that ground, you can construct houses. Timni juda miju sahin, sahi nashin is labre. Ko yona anything gala. Sahi nashin, sahi yona. If there is a ground, there is a field, then you can cultivate all kind of crops, all kind of fruits, all kind of vegetables. Similarly, if you have this ethical discipline as a ground, as a field, then you can grow the crops of meditative stabilization, wisdom, compassion, love, and everything. Why? Because you have lived a life where you have not harmed anybody and instead helped anybody. So because of that, your mind is calm. If you have done the right thing, your mind is free from regret. Your mind is calm. Your mind is at peace. When your mind is calm and at peace, you can do everything. Contrarily, if your mind is disturbed, angry, right? So second is ethics. So if you think about all the virtuous practices as a tree, then that ethics is really like the ground on which that beautiful tree of all qualities will grow. So therefore give up non-virtuous practices and instead cultivate virtuous practices, as we explained yesterday about the 10 virtuous practices. And the next is giving, generosity, sharing what you have to others. Sharing. Some of the Buddhist teachers, they say, I will not talk much about the benefit of giving, but I will talk about the disadvantages of holding. Disadvantages of holding. If you become stingy and try to collect everything from all parts of the world, which you are not going to use it, as I said yesterday, then it's not, of course, not helpful to others, and it will not be helpful to you also. So therefore, some of these teachers, they say that I will not talk much about advantage of giving, but I will talk about the disadvantages of holding. So therefore, practice giving. Therefore, practice giving. Now it is scientifically proved. Some of the scientists, they have done an experiment with the people who receive gift and people who give gifts. They did experiment with the longevity of life of these two people, and they found those people who give, they live longer. You live longer. Okay? So giving. And then the fourth is listening or hearing to the teaching. Listening or hearing the teaching. And if you don't hear, you will not know anything. You will not learn anything. If you don't learn anything, you will not know what to practice and what to give up. So therefore, learning or study is very important. Learning or hearing is really like a torch, a lamp or a light that dispels darkness. You must. And it is through hearing and learning that you gradually not only become happier, but you can also become Buddha. And then next is having sense of shame. Sense of shame, taking yourself as an example, and then you develop that feeling of shame that I am a human being, I cannot do this. I am a monk, I cannot do this. I am a Tibetan, I cannot do this. I am a Japanese, I cannot do this. Yourself as looking after your own qualities, it's improper for me because I am a human being, I am a Japanese, I am a Tibetan, I am a woman, whatever. With this reason, when you don't engage in negative activities, that means you are a person who has sense of shame. The next is Teyaba. That means having concern for others. You stop doing wrong things, because if I do this, my teacher will be unhappy. My parents will be unhappy. The gods and deities or whatever will be unhappy. This having sense of shame and concern for others are two very, very important qualities for humanistic ethics. Therefore, I think it was Nagarjuna who said that the world is sustained by two qualities, shame and concern for others. If these two things are there, then the world can flourish, it can continue. If these two, oh, so this, and then finally, I think it is the then finally wisdom. Wisdom, of course, is the antidote to ignorance. And wisdom, in fact, is the most precious wealth of a spiritual practitioner. So these are the wealth that you must keep instead of material wealth. Next lines. Give up all commotions. I don't know how correct this translation is, but I use the word Duzi means commotion, Sanzing the door, and live in isolation. In our ordinary life, our life is full of commotion. Commotion means life of hustle and bustle life. Che masar den. Che masar de jidwa. Sangi chen Duzi sana sangi singi choyola mela chen zoyem do. Tangasor was not Hawaii because Ngarachikur de Gora Chidachena. Ngarachikur did something. I chick che de do Karachi Nakash. chik sari mene tuklo tukuro, hayang tukuro, yarchima, chik sari mene nima nyinga gimu shori dinde duwa. Chesa lento making carpenter, the chijin ton karse, the tojin mount to say. There is a Tibetan, many of these voluntary activities, they will never come to an end by doing. They will come to an end by stopping. Lento making carpenter, the tojin mount to say. The unfinished work is like old man's beard. The more you pick, the more it will grow. All these activities are like child's play. They'll not come to an end by playing or doing, but they'll come to an end by stopping. So we need to, I'm not saying you become lazy, but what I'm saying is there are many activities which is really important, which we must do. Then of course we have to do. But unfortunately, most of the time we are busy with insignificant things. And we cannot afford to waste our life on insignificant things because we are human beings with such a wonderful human brain, human intelligence, which has the capacity to penetrate into the most profound secret of the nature, secret of the mind, which has the capacity to develop the most precious mind of Bodhisattva, compassion, loving kindness, so forth. Rwa, dinde theba nye june dagi ge go majene dili luban sheme de dili mongwa sheme do se chunjung ne suwa na she. Dinde theba nye june, having found such a precious human life with such a capacity, such opportunity, dinde theba nye june dagi ge go majene, if I not make myself habituated with the virtuous practices, there's nothing more deceptive than this. There's nothing more ignorant than this. Of course, it is easier said than done, but we must give a try, really, because otherwise, like eating, sleeping, and animals also do it. But animals actually are much more easier than us when it comes to leading the life. Animals, they don't need a special hospital, or they don't have a special hospital. There's nobody who give them breakfast, lunch, dinner at the appropriate time. Animals don't have to wear eyeglasses. The mila magu gugu gudwa. The gas pijuchin and join karjungurusena. Human beings with all these facilities at our disposal, What is it that we are giving back to the world? With all these facilities means when our eye is not well, eyeglasses. Teeth is not well, fix the teeth. Hair is not so good, you can plant the hair. Now there's even heart plantation and so forth. With animals and birds, they don't use eyeglasses. They don't have special places to stay. So kind of quite convenient, you see. And also they don't do much harm to others because they have not big capacity. It is human beings which is destroying the planet today. Clever, intelligent human beings are doing this. So give up all commotions means stop. Now is the time to stop many of this useless running around. Gombaland and neighbors and live in isolation. Live in isolation means physical isolation, mental isolations, verbal isolation, which means use SIV, we already studied. Don't use your mouth for talking about useless things. Talk more about Dharma, do more prayers, more mantras. And even when you speak to others, speak pleasantly, sweetly, so that your speech makes others' life happier. The word in Nagarjuna's text, letter to the friend, he says, if possible, your word should be like honey, or it should be like a flower, but it should not be like a filth. And similarly, physical isolation means sometimes because we are ordinary people, if we mix too much with ordinary people, we'll waste our time. And therefore, you need to think yourself and decide yourself. You should not be led by the nose by everybody. Please come out, then you go up. Please come down, go down. Chamjamdo, Pardo, Sindo Karan Lasso, Lavne, some time again and don't use it all now. It's wastage of money, wastage of time. I'm not saying you should not have fun, you can have fun, but not to the cost of wasting your life. So you should be able to make decision. Yes, today I'm busy, I have to do this important task. Let others go, if they are not listening. But at least you have to, because at the end of the day, when you die or when you get problem, you have to look after yourself, especially when you die. None of these so-called friends will accompany with you. There's a story of a family whose father, used to kill animals and look after the family members. And one day, one Lama instructed this father, saying that, oh, this is very sinful, you keep on killing animals, don't do that. Because the result only you will have to bear. Then he said, no, I'm doing this for my family. So the result of this negative deed will be shared not only by me, but my wife, and certainly my wife, because she loves me very much, and my kids. Then the Lama said, okay, if you don't trust me, you ask your wife and your family members. So this man then asks his wife and kids that this is what the Lama said, but you all love me, and I'm killing all this for you, so I'm sure you will share the negative result. Then the wife said, don't be stupid. If there is a possibility to share, of course we'll share, but there is no possibility. Since the negative deed that one has done, the result one has to experience alone. Nobody can share it. So therefore, give up all commotions and live in isolation. Discard words of gossip. We already explained. And always restrain your speech. Restrain your speech. Ngangnam tau du dambracha. Da kazanga du robs labza sunga. Kadaku majamna ene damenda charuej. Because if you don't watch your mouth, you in the process of praising somebody, you may be defaming somebody. Not only saying bad things, but even saying good things. Even if you're praising somebody, if you praise that person in the wrong place, wrong time, that person will get upset. And then sometimes what you say, how you say, and how people take it, there is a big difference. So you have to be very careful. Oh yeah, there's Yugnamado Sarmiyo. So this finishes the 9th chapter. And the next is when Lama Kempo Thomas Kuberim do Chebrach, Kanza Chuji Mikjenda, Letang Pove, Simjela, Tumbe Duki Chebrach, Simjen Tamji Thomas, the Pamabuzin Duki Ches. When lamas and abbots are seen, with veneration cultivate respect. Towards special individuals, persons with Dharma eye and sentient beings of beginning stage develop the recognition similar to the Buddha. When seeing all sentient beings, develop the recognition similar to parents and children. That means with the lamas and abbots of monasteries, they are persons with special knowledge, special qualities. So therefore, when you see them, don't pretend that you don't see them. That's why when His Holiness is coming, people are running to see. And what that shows is that you have this inner aspiration to cultivate positive qualities. So anybody who has that qualities, you respect them. In the ancient Tibetan tradition, there is a lot of respect for the lamas or abbots. Now, very less, much less. Because everybody is maybe thinking, oh, this is lama is a traditional thing. I am the modern educated guy, We might think like that. We may not say it, but we might think like that. So therefore, number one, he says, cultivate veneration, respect to the lamas and abbots. Number one. And similarly, towards special individuals, person with Dharma eye, that means there are the persons with Dharma eye towards with special individual means there are people who have a lot of Dharma hearing, meditation, who have Dharma practice. So these are special people. So these are in fact your good Dharma friends. So therefore when you see them, and then you should offer your veneration and respect. There's the meaning. And sentient beings of beginning stage. Even ordinary sentient beings who may be at a beginning stage, you should show respect to them because they have the seed to become the Buddha. They have the seed to become the Buddha. And all sentient beings are loved by the Buddha as his only son, as his only child. So if you love the Buddha, if you respect the Buddha, respect his children. Respect his children. And especially in the case of ordinary individuals, even if they do a small good thing, that must be highly respected because they are ordinary people but still doing such wonderful things. So with this understanding, you should respect to them. And sentient beings of beginning stage develop the recognition similar to the Buddha because they have the seed of the Buddha. That's the meaning. When seeing all sentient beings develop the recognition similar to parents and children. So when seeing all sentient beings means sentient beings of different ages. If you see sentient beings who are, older than you, regard them as your parents, fathers and mothers. Those who are equal to you, see them as your brothers, sisters. Those who are younger than you, see them as your children. That's the meaning. When seeing all sentient beings develop the recognition similar to parents and children. Similar to parents and children. How would you see your parents? How would you see your children? You see? So that's a very important area where we need to make a lot of effort. Normally we are not able to do that with all sentient beings, especially sentient beings who have harmed you. You will say, forget about that. But because everybody wants happiness, do not want suffering, everybody has been kind to you in one way or the other, therefore try to do that, cultivate that. And then of course the so-called sentient beings who you have visualized as your parents now today are suffering because of negative emotions. They are carried by the torrential, powerful streams of wrongdoings, negative emotions. Therefore you must respect them, right? So this completes the 10th chapter. Give up negative friends. Negative friends are those friends in whose association, if your negative qualities multiply, so negative friends are not that's really looking awful with a horn and a long tongue, not like that. Negative friends are those in whose association, if three poisons, anger, hatred, ignorance, increases, and your positive activities like hearing, thinking and meditation decreases, and gradually you become a person with less compassion, less love, less patience, then you are clearly associating with a bad friend, negative friend. So distance yourself from such friend. Negative friends will also come to you as your very good friend. They will also come to you saying that let us enjoy life. This is the only life. Let us have fun. Why you are sitting there doing meditation? This is not the time for you to do meditation. In this way, if these people lead you to a careless life, then you will realize the damage that is done. I think last year before, I was invited to give a talk in the Tibetan Youth Hostel in Delhi, and some of these group leaders requested me to talk about, the importance of going with good friends and not going with bad friends, because they have told me clearly that they have a lot of examples of some students who used to be quite good in the beginning, but because of going with the wrong friends, their studies become poorer, their character becomes poorer, and though there are other cases who associate with good friend, then suddenly their study improves, their health improves. Very clear. Very clear. Therefore, give up negative friends. Geshe Shinye temperature, those who guide you to Geshe Shinye. Spiritual friend means the opposite, in whose association, if your compassion increases, loving kindness increases, all the good virtues practice increases, then this is a clear sign you are with a good friend. So go with those good friends. Discard hatred and unhappy mind. This, we don't have much time, I'm not going to give detailed explanation, but give up hatred. Hatred means hatching ill will. Ngay kolte ngay kokab chung na termo to ya samne nyar de ne dela. Dangsim sejro, dangsim. Hatred means ill will. Hatching, keeping ill will in your mind, that if I'm able to get this opportunity, I will kill him. I will beat him. That kind of hatred is not only bad for other people, it's very bad for your health. In many cases, source of many kind of illnesses. The church discard hatred. Hatred will make you unhappy. So discard hatred and discard unhappy mind. Unhappy mind. Some of you who have attended my talks earlier, sometimes I jokingly tell them that I'm going to give you a commitment this time. And they say, Geshe, what is commitment? This is not a tantric initiation. So what is your commitment? So I tell them the commitment is whatever comes in my life, I will never make my mind unhappy. If you become unhappy, that's not the solution. If there is an happening, a little bit like distressful or suffering, but that is not the whole story of your life. There are many good things. So think about those good things and be happy. This unfortunate thing has happened, but still I am a human being. Still I have access to the Buddha's teaching. Still there are many good things. Don't get stuck just thinking about bad things. If your mind is happy, you can do many things. If your mind is upset, unhappy, then you get all the countless diseases that we are told these days. Stress, loneliness, low self-esteem, whatnot. Because of unhappy mind. Right? Discard hatred, unhappy mind. And wherever you go, go in peace. Wow. Wherever you go, go in peace. You should become like an embodiment of peace, embodiment of love, embodiment of compassion. You may be just an ordinary person, but if you go with this peace and compassion and a smile, everybody will be happy. Wherever you go, if you go there like a disease, that's ready to spread to everybody, like a contagious disease, Unfortunately, there are some people like that, you see. So instead of this, be a messenger of peace. As His Holiness, wherever he goes, His Holiness is not traveling around the globe distributing dollars. If His Holiness is going around the globe distributing money, then there is a reason people come, But He is not doing that. But still, so many people are attracted to Him. Why? Because number one, He doesn't make any distinction who is who, He sees everybody same, high or low, this religion, that religion, men, women, whoever. They all want peace. They all have troubles. They all have difficulties. So may they have happiness, may they have a peace. With this kind of thinking and motivation, He goes around. And it benefits so many people. There are cases of people not only mentally happy, but I have myself personally seen the cases of people who are physically sick, and just by His Holiness' love and compassion and touch, get completely healed. And in Buddhism, we don't talk much about these things. We just give the teaching, but it happened. You see, I've seen that. There's one Australian deity, His Holiness, she was on a crutch, And when His Holiness went there, he was on that wheelchair, and then His Holiness hugged and touched that lady. Then after we came back, it came out in the newspaper, She has just threw the wheelchair there and she's standing here smiling, Yungudo. Rawa, Tana Hisemaji, dating in the day and a Yingji, Labjaji Jabjik Chitu, Tangal watching into the Dua, Samachin, then Nasa Taro in the Dua. There are many people who are in distress, stressful situation, difficult situation. So if somebody extends helping hand, loves them, show them, guide them, many people, there are many examples of people who get healed. In my own cases, I'm nobody, nothing really. But it's important to also share the efficacy of such teachings. There are some people who I know who had a suicidal attitude and planning to commit suicide. And I tell them, you are so lucky, you are a human being, you are young, you are intelligent, all those things that is taught by His Holiness and the Buddhist teachings. And then later on they wrote to me, Geshe, I'm much better, now I'm doing my job, things like that, you see. Because people suffer, because they don't know how to think. And if you teach them how to think, they can change, they can become better. Right? So wherever you go in peace. So this completes, because I'm just running now. This is the 11th chapter. Discard attachment in anything. It's not saying don't own anything. It's not saying. He's not saying don't keep anything because we need this. He's saying you keep but don't have attachment. There is a story at the time of Milarepa. Somebody was highly, encouraged by the Milarepa's way of life, who has nothing whatsoever. He said, I must imitate and become like Milarepa. Milarepa has nothing, so I also want to follow like him. So he threw all his belongings. And then after a few days he started suffering, because it's easy to throw away things, but his mind is not ready. Then after a few days he started suffering. Then he said, this Milarepa, not only he is a beggar, he also made me a beggar. Milarepa di khora pango yima mase nga pango susula. Atinde se kora. Chala yugi keje khego marta. Chakpa bounce. Kala chakpa bounce. Chakpa never. Chakpa means attachment, craving, grasping means basically getting stuck in things. If you get stuck in things, it will immobilize you. Karina chik cha de den to mundo adi. De delta de domda naladi makre ki jal me phasna se jagar ki la na hina. Domda ke nalola butin de chik judu. Tajirang chik thons. Bu chebu hiuj do hyokpa yo de. Domda ke jude hyok. If you get, entrapped in that snare of attachment, you will not be able to get that freedom. Discard attachment, anything, and live without attachment. Due to attachment, even happy migration is not attained. Yeah. If you have attachment, forget about achieving liberation or nirvana. You will not also achieve the life of human being or that of a god. And moreover, it takes the life of liberation, means you will not be able to achieve liberation. So normally at this point, then they explain the 12 links of dependent origination and so on. At this time you should think that the physical forms are like bubble, there's not much essence. And the feelings that we associate with are like water bubbles on the water. And our perception or recognition are like mirage. And our activities are like plantain tree, banana tree, which has no essence. And our consciousness is like an illusion. So there's no reason to develop too much attachment. Too much attachment. So that is what he's saying. So this completes the 12th chapter. Kaundu devecho tongwa tenne tau den bebarcha. Thomar samba khayamba thangbo tingi dubjati tetanani kunle chi hendu niga dubja. So that means you should stay and move to a place where you are able to do your practice properly, where there is happiness, where there is peace. Wherever there is a source of peace is seen, there strive forever. That means try to stay there. For example, if you say stay in Dharamsala, if there is a peace, why? Because there is accessibility to religious teachings, there is possibility to see holiness. So if you are happy, then stay there. If you stay for 5-6 months, if you are happy, that means that place is quite good. Stay. Then the thought chas. Because place also makes a big difference for us as an ordinary person. Whichever you have begun, accomplish that first. So we have this habit of starting many projects, but never completing anything. So he's saying that's not good. So whatever you start, before you start, you plan properly and see whether you can complete it or not. If you are not sure whether you can do it or not, then don't start. If you think you can do it, not only you think you can do it, but it's important, then start it and complete it. Not only in spiritual practice, but also in ordinary practice, these are very important. Because there are people who start many things, never complete one. So in life they have no achievement, nothing to show. So whatever you do, do it with such dedication and commitment that you complete something. When it's helping, when it is, for example, helping somebody, help it thoroughly. When it's writing a book, complete that book. And don't make too many promises saying that, I can do this, Because if you get habituated with this process of making a lot of promises, not finishing anything, then you will not achieve anything in your life. So whatever you accomplish, just that, whichever you have begun, accomplish just that first. Because if you complete that first, that energizes you. I have done this, I finished the book. Then you take some rest, and you are very happy, you rejoice. Even if you performed on a stage properly, you see. You do need to make certain preparation. Then you perform it and sings and dances beautifully. Then after having done it, people applauds you, claps their hand. After that, you're happy. You see, I've done this, I know this song. I know how to dance. That gives you more energy to do many other things. But if you start many things, never complete anything, you will never get that energy. Accomplish just that first. By doing so, all will be well accomplished. Or else, both will not be achieved. This completes the 13th chapter. Due to constant misdeeds and lack of joy, when a puffed up mind arises, puffed up mind means basically arrogance arises, then arrogance should be reduced. And recall the instruction of the Lama, when the mind of discouragement arises, awareness the spirit of the mind. Recall wisdom perfection, meditate both in the state of emptiness. So meaning that you should always be somebody who dislikes doing bad things. Due to constant misdeeds, if you are somebody who constantly engages in misdeeds, and also without joy or lack of joy, and because of all these wrongdoings, because of lack of joy, and sometimes you get puffed up, if you get arrogant, then you should reduce that arrogance by remembering the instruction of the Lama. Instruction of the Lama is that there's no need for you to get too arrogant because your life is impermanent. You are still in the samsara, you are also having a lot of problems, difficulties and so forth. So in this way, so what he's saying is, due to any reason, if your mind is becoming too proud, too arrogant, bring it down. Contrarily, if your mind is getting too discouraging, then you should embrace the spirit of the mind. I also have hand. I also have two eyes. So if it is getting discouraged, raise the spirit of the mind. If it gets too uplifted, too puffed up, then bring it down. This is what. Meditate both in the state of emptiness means, because at the end of the day, the reason that you get so puffed up, the reason you get discouraged, if you look carefully, everything has no independent, solid existence. They're of empty nature. They're like bubble. Bubble. For example, if you are somebody who is getting proud because of your, physical elegance at the first moment, then you look carefully. Oh, why should I get so proud? This is made of flesh, bones. Inside there are blood and things like that. It's very fragile, right? Then you reduce that arrogance. But now, sometimes when you think about impermanence or other things, if you get a little bit discouraged, I am going to die, I'm impermanent, things like that. If you're getting a little bit discouraged, then you say, this life is impermanent, this body is impermanent, but right now I'm not dead. I have this wonderful, precious human mind. I can do so many things. So upraise the spirit of your mind. This is also something like, following the middle way. This one. So what he is really saying is, for example, if you are encountering some misfortunes like being sick and so forth, then he's saying don't discouraged. Because illnesses, sicknesses, they are your best teacher. They are your best teacher. Because of this new experience, you learn so many things. Mega chung to materas, to the chungakala, mega machias, it's like it. That completes the 14th chapter. Count the Chatan Yujungsi, Jumatuba Hinduta, Mini Signal Tubes, Taza Hindu Tower, Lula Nova Chungus, Gonjilis Towerchas. Where the objects of attachment and hatred appears, see them as illusions, emanations. So basically we discuss about this. This is not so difficult to understand. For example, it is in relation to objects that sometimes you develop attachment, sometimes you develop hatred. But if you look carefully with these objects, both the objects in whose relation you develop attachment, in whose relation you develop hatred, both of these objects are just like an illusion. For example, if you get angry towards a particular person, if you look carefully at that person is like an illusion. He is a body made of bones and flesh and that's why some of the Buddhist teachers, they say you don't have to kill people, they'll die. Nuclear bomb, we make nuclear bomb to destroy that fragile people. How stupid we are. The Buddhist teachers say you don't have to kill people, they'll die. So similarly, you can say you don't have to bring more suffering on them because they are already suffering. So there's no reason to get too much attachment to some and too much disliking to some. Similarly, when you hear unpleasant words or heard, see them as an ego. In the ego, if that ego says, "Oh, you are a wonderful person," don't get puffed up because it's just an ego. If I say something very pleasant, "Oh, you are really you look like a Buddha," that will not make you a Buddha. Or in an unpleasant way, if I say, "You really look like a dog," you will not become a dog, you see. It's really very much not dependent upon what the person says, it is dependent upon how you receive it. So in life, whether other people can hurt you or not is whether you receive it or not. Manzuki lengi yorwada. Package the call council nobody Tara race and land do young red in the Sosin Yang Dua. Malena Taharua. Lenjumdua. So we make ourselves vulnerable. So don't make vulnerable. Don't become a victim. Don't adopt that, victim mentality. Victim mentality. If you're physically harmed, then don't just keep on blaming someone others. Instead, you should think, this may be related to my past life's negative karmas. What? Vete gombra ram ne rida shibe roshin do dage danye pangja shingman baja shing se jiga du chakba me ban never live well in remote and isolated places like the dead body of a wild animal, and one should hide oneself and live without attachment. So that means you should as much as possible live in isolated places where there is no disturbance. For example, if you move into a forest, even if you stay there for like 1 or 2 hours, you will never hear any unpleasant words from the birds. The birds sing their own songs, and you get this very nice breeze, and you can see these green leaves and flowers, things like that. That will bring mental peace and calmness. But when you are with a lot of people, crowd, they will say so many things about you, this, that, So it is important to live well in remote and isolated places. Especially if you want to do long-term meditation, then you need to go to isolated place where there's less disturbance. But the place should be such that the place should not be a dangerous place where there are lions and tigers and snakes, many disease-borne places, not to those places, but good places, good remote places, isolated places. Because for a Dharma practitioner, the bad friend is the human crowd. For a good Dharma practitioner, the bad friend is the human crowd. And for a Dharma practitioner, one that is really a bondage is partisanship. Nge chokto, nge lungba, nge choga, sigdwa, di chokshin che to samata, minyam to dena diyor. And then avoiding wrong livelihood and so forth. Vete gomba ramne rida shive roshin, just like a dead body of an animal. When an animal dies, like a deer or something dies, they are not concerned about which Lama is doing prayer for them. Is there a special cremation for the animals that die in the forest? Human beings can lead all these rituals and pujas, and this doing rituals and pujas also become a competition now, negative competition. That things are in India, there is a system of dowry, When the woman marries somebody, then the family continues asks for more money. And if you don't bring this, they'll say, when you came to my family, what did you bring? Then they start harassing them, bullying them. Did they do it? Similar like that. Now in the Tibetan society also, when you make a sock offering, then they buy one sack of biscuit in a samba in a mango hunyoneta. This is show of wealth, not real practice of Dharma. Show cheer takas. So many chokiramodo, Zuchimodongazo. Go so chilabre, watch lavin the coach lavia, watch tempo sangmati, what you said, did up. They remember that's a good work on you. Tam and it. Could so you wish you said the digo. Go hell with your soul, Devo. Think Achikur Sego Marda, could you? His Holiness also already has commented on this. When is whatever you do in the name of ordinary life or religious practices, don't make a show of it. Do it sincerely, honestly, in accordance with the spirit of Buddha Dharma. Even in big monastic communities, when you do your final geshe, again it has become like a dory. Tongkutang sejorda, dil pesha hiutangorda, that pesha makes a caniking, that timang bumang putangu. Echa yugen gomo gindu barel gindu bata tungta mango yorwa gindu barel gomo for one monk in one monastery there are several thousands of monks. When you do your geshe, then you have to make a big offering. So those who have the money, they give like 200 rupees, 300 rupees, whatever, to each monk, which is really big sum. And those who have no money, what they have to do, just when they're about to complete their geshe, they have to go around begging. Pesha tharki chek rogo to. Yakbo mundo atang ukena. Dire tengah geshe tang lo dir. Ta jawar much sungjore. Ta geshe jabgure sikdu se. Ngozu khoro te jabe majung. From one's own side also, if you make that offering with like really sincere gratitude, happiness, and if you have the capacity to do, wonderful, of course, you should do it. But why you make it almost like a, unavoidable kind of necessity? What did it? So this completes the 15th chapter. 15 mare, the 15th sarjasuma. Chakwa me bandeba. So what I was saying was, when we die, don't worry about how many lamas are performing puja after you. The most important thing is how you have lived your life. If you have lived your life properly, no special prayers and pujas are needed. If you've done all the bad things in your life, no amount of pujas will help you. Because you cannot bribe the law of karma. You cannot bribe the law of karma. You will experience the result in accordance with what you have done. You do all the bad things in your life, and then you think that after you die, somebody does big puja, then it's purified. It's not that easy. That also has become a big problem. Why? Because when somebody dies, the first thing that people do these days in settlements, they go to a lama. Somebody died, my relative died, please do a divination. What kind of puja we should do? Then again, most of the time, the divination says 200,000, 100,000, I don't know, whatever, Poor people, they can't afford to do this. Several days of prayers and pujas, inviting, I don't know, however amount of, number of monks are available, they invite them, feed them, give them money. 미시도게 낭메디 코랑게 튜즈지 코로로 대봉안이 니마치기는 니나 체는 리그러와다 다 인지 미지 뭐 잡지 다디 제마도디 다야 더버두마소스 심디시 시부기 추 딱다 중마소스 시부 추든지 제 가와요. Right? So even after the death of person, you see, depending upon your richness, they'll ask you to do all these pujas. Those people who have no money, how can they do it, And if they're unable to do it, they feel sad. My relative, my friend, my husband, my wife died, I could not do the proper puja because I have no money. They feel sad. So all these problems are because of lack of understanding of Dharma. So that's why Milarepa said, Karse, Shinangumi mevatas, Shinangugi mevache. And Kora Takbuna, Nana Karse, Takji mevat, Gona Miji mevai, return the Rishin in Nanganajor Sambazoba. When I die, Milarepa said, he's a great practitioner, has nothing. And he always prayed, when I die, if there's nobody who cry after me, then as a spiritual practitioner, my wish is fulfilled. And when I die, if there's not even a drop of blood, because he has been practicing, there's not much meat or flesh and things like that. But those of us who keep on eating, we have this flesh and so many things, you see. So this is exactly what this text is saying, dying like an animal, without any attachment. So if you have observed proper ethical discipline, That is the best way to help you when you die. So first process of purification when you die is your morality. Second is having no attachment. Third is through your practice, if you achieved a place of security, secure place. And fourth is if you have no attachment to the samsara. And the fifth is if you have eliminate all the negative emotions, or as much as possible reduce the negative emotions and cultivated the positive emotions, realizations. So in short, the virtuous practices must be done by oneself. It cannot be done by others. This completes 16th chapter. Always be firm with your commitment, and when laziness and attachment to sensual pleasures arise, then rebuke and scold yourself and recall the essence of ethical conduct. So that means now when you know what practices you should do, you should be firm with your commitment. Firm with your commitment. It should not be a honeymoon practice. There should be firm commitment. This is good for me, good for others. There should be firm commitment. And sometimes if laziness arises or attachment to sensual pleasures arises, then you should scold yourself. I'm supposed to be a spiritual practitioner. How come I have this laziness? What if I'm going to die tomorrow? How can I be lazy today? If it is an occasion where you have to be killed after 3 hours, then will you say, yeah, I know I'm going to be killed after 3 hours, but let me take some rest, Let me take a nap. So our situation is not much different from that. We are susceptible to all kinds of sufferings. We are definite to die. So therefore, when you remember these things, that will provoke you, activate you to do practices. Scold yourself. And similarly, when you are about to die, you will never have this excessive attachment to sensual objects. For example, if there is an old man of, say, 95 years old, who is not only old in terms of his age, but also has a lot of physical illnesses, then if there is such an old man here, this old man will have less desire, less hatred. Similarly, we will also have less hatred to this person. We will have no hatred to this person. Similarly, nobody will say, oh, this Porto Logu Chukonga Dinyam, the chance of Gomendo, Sigmarwa. Sigribe? Will you say that I want to marry this 95-year-old man who is sick and ill? I don't think you will say. You will not develop attachment. Why? Because you have seen his real condition. So similarly, if you are able to see the real condition of people, even if we are unable to stop it, there will be less attachment, less hatred. That's why Shantideva says, why should somebody who is impermanent develop attachment to someone who is also impermanent? Why should one develop hatred to someone? Why should one who is impermanent develop hatred to someone who is also impermanent? Makes complete sense. And recall the essence of ethical conduct. This completes 17th chapter. Kalte Henda Tongwese Hide Songbor Mawata, Tonir Ngozum Panja, Tadu Zumshin Neverje, Jundu Henda Tongwese, Senamajin Jinlaga, Tado Tamje Powerje, Hinji Simne Sungwese, Zobatamji, Panja, Tadu Shodan Demberje. If you see others, then see them with calm and straightforwardness. Rawa Lamsa, Doguri Soro, Nogini Soro. Rawa with calm and straightforwardness, speak honestly, give up grimace and scowl. Mithong the Lamsa, Jig Nine Kanyir, Dung Duya, Kundro, Magan do Chiju Marese. Kadishenda Tong was the Hide Sombor Mawata with honest straightforwardness, speak honestly, give up grimace and scowl. And carry that beautiful smile on your face. And always, and forever live with a smile. The country forever live with a smile. Nimachik ni mardase. Kaduina dik kemo 6 days. If you are somebody who has really saw the law of nature, then for example, Buddha is always smiling. When he sees us happy, of course he will smile. Wonderful, my children are at least temporarily happy. And when they are suffering and when they are crying, still Buddha will be smiling because he will be able to see my children, for stupid things they are crying. If a small kid, let us take the example of a small kid who builds a sand castle near the sea beach, sand castle. Another naughty child comes, give a kick and destroys that sand castle. So this young boy, this child who built the sand castle, he will cry as if a real castle has been destroyed. But then when the grown-up people come there and see, why you are crying, this is just sand castle, this is for plaything, this is not the real castle. Buddha says exactly like that. For those things for which we are crying, for which we are suffering, Buddha says, oh my children, they don't know the reality. So therefore for the small issues they are crying, they are unhappy, they are sad. Because in the real sense, there's nothing to hold on to. Right? That is what he's saying. Forever live it with a smile. Normally when you see others, be not stringent but delight in giving. There's a stage. Be not stringent but delight in giving. There is a quotation in Shantideva's Bodhisattva Avatar where he says, if I give this to others, what will I use? This way of thinking is devil's way of thinking. If I give this to others, what will I enjoy? This is the way of the thinking of the devil. If I use this, what will give I others? What will I give to others? Thinking about others is really the divine kind of way of life, divine practice. Now giving means not only giving material things, but giving Dharma teaching, giving guidance, giving help, assistance, And discard all jealousy. Jealousy. If somebody becomes very famous, very rich, and somebody praises those people, then we'll say, oh, he is very good, but for example, when we are listening to this teaching, somebody comes, rich person comes, open the doors, look at us and says, oh, wonderful, you are all listening to the Dharma, wonderful. And he comes forward and give each of you like $300, but not to me. I will feel unhappy. If nobody has come and nobody gives anything, I'm okay. But if this person comes, gives $300 to each of you, not to me, I feel unhappy. That means we have jealousy. We have no love. If I have genuine love, then no problem. My friends, your relatives, whoever, they got it. Wonderful, The parents, when their children get something, they don't feel that uneasiness. You see, this is human mind, you see. So just by being jealous, you will not get what you want. So it will only torment your mind. To respect one's mind, discard all disputations, and forever be equipped with patience. So to respect others' mind, people may be saying things which is not to your taste. In some cases, people may be really saying stupid things, wrong things. But if they are not ready to listen to you, don't argue, don't fight with them. So because this fight that is happening between religious denominations. That's the source of problem, because one who believes in God, they think, oh, this is the perfect, road. Others who don't believe in a God, they are wrong. Then those who don't believe in a God, they think, oh, our path is the right path. Those who believe in a God, they are wrong, they'll go to hell. And then in between, they try to explain to each other, and nobody listens, they start fighting and killing. Even among Muslims, Sunnis and Shias are fighting. Even among Christians, Catholics and Protestants are fighting. Even among Buddhists, different denominations are fighting because of unnecessary egoism. Discard all disputations and forever be equipped with patience. Without patience, you are not going to achieve anything, mundane or beyond mundane. Oh yeah. This completes 18th chapter. Ngoga meji sanro me tao du sugne tubarcha. Hienla nyeba panja shin kubesul ji neba chen diksoy. Choma so dagarwa. Hienla nyeba panja shin kubesul ji neba cha. Hienla damga chebe se nyingje penswen dembacha. Be without flattery or rush for new friendship, but always be stable and firm. Give up despising others and remain with respect. When instructing others, have compassion and benevolent mind. Ngoga meji means when you meet new person, new people, then you try to flatter them. Mikashi dide doa aksar shogu tarjo se jorwa. In the beginning, they want to make friendship with everybody. They engage in flattery and things like that, and rush for new friendship. They give up all the old friends, and whenever there is a new friend, new boyfriend, new girlfriend, new whatever, they want to go with them. So in Tibetan we call it aksar shugutarja. So this kind of running after new friend is really like the flag made of paper. Flag made of paper with a slight blow of wind, it will be torn into pieces. It will not last long. Be without flattery or rush for new friendship, but always be stable and firm. Judge your friends. Once you really make friendship with somebody, be reliable, be trustworthy, and be firm. Give up despising others and remain with respect. Whoever that person is, don't despise, don't look down. Even if those people who are seemingly much more inferior than you, you never know what qualities they have. And I remember His Holiness the Dalai Lama once saying that in one sense, even the kind of earthworm that is crawling, in one sense, that is more quality than us. The earthworm is like wriggling and moving around with no obvious qualities, but that earthworm is very fragile, very weak, but that earthworm is not harming anybody. Instead, nowadays they use earthworm to, make the land fertile. So we call ourselves intelligent human being, but then we have all this negative sense of competition, jealousy, hatred, whatnot. So from that angle, that earthworm is worthy of bowing down, paying homage, paying respect. So there's the meaning. Give up despising others and remain with respect. When instructing others, have compassion and benevolent and have a benevolent mind. That means if you are a teacher or even if you are a guide, when you are really like helping others, you help them with genuine concern, genuine compassion, not just to show your expertise and scholarship. Okay, so this completes the 19th chapter. Do not defame the Dharma, aspire that which you like, and through the 10 virtuous deeds, strive to pass day and night. So this I like this word very much, because we live in a world where we meet so many different, people with different, faith, different religious traditions. So here is saying, do not defame the Dharma, whichever it is. Do not defame any religion. Aspire that which you like. In your case, you follow whichever religion you like to. But because somebody is following another religion, don't despise them. Don't defame them. Don't defame their Dharma. And His Holiness gives the best example by saying it's really like a shopping mall. In a shopping mall, if there are varieties of commodities, everybody will be able to fulfill their need by visiting that mall. But if that mall has only shoes to sell, then it will not fulfill the needs of many people. So the different religions are like different commodities in a shopping mall. Different religious traditions are like different flowers with different colors. It's better to have different flowers with different colors than just one color flower. Right? Aspire that which you like. For example, if somebody asks you which medicine is best, there are so many medicines in the world. Which one is best? Can you answer that? You cannot just pick up one medicine and say this is the best medicine. That medicine may be very expensive, but still you cannot say this is the best medicine. Because when you ask the question whether this medicine is best or not, it is related to one's personal experience. If you are suffering from headache, aspirin may be best for you. The rest of the medicines are not best for you because you don't need them. So similarly, as a Buddhist practitioner, Buddhism may be best for me, but that does not mean that it is best for everybody. So these different religious traditions are like different medicines. And through the 10 virtuous deeds, strive to pass day and night. So as a practitioner, you should pass day and night by doing these 10 virtuous deeds. 10 virtuous deeds are write down the holy scriptures. Or those things which helps other people. Write down the yigitis. Any arts or education related things, you want to share them, you need to write them in computer or using your hand. I have been writing this during the last many days to share with you. Of course, we don't have much time. I could not share everything, but I have been writing this for myself and for others. You see, you need to write them. Yigiti. And then second is make offerings. Second virtuous practice here is make offerings to all those holy, inconceivable beings, make offerings. And then practice giving without attachment. And then, even if you are very wise, very learned, don't think you have learned everything. Continue to learn, continue to study, continue to hear the Dharma. And then read, continuously read Dharma. You need to read. Read again and again. Then you will know. And then, whatever you read, then try to get the essence of those reading and keep it in your mind. Even if you read a lot but nothing stays in your mind, it is of no benefit. Try to keep it in your mind. And then similarly, whatever you know, you should share it with others. Teach others. So this is how you should practice. So this completes the 20th Reve. The 20th. And then Tusum Gewachi Saba Lame Changju Chembrungo. So Nam Simje Namla Dar Tadu Yela Dumbai Malam Chembo Dabracha. Tedrachena Sonam the Hisoni Zobanju, Japanese Senju, the Milutobot, Ten Yubit Lame Changju Tobarj. Virtues accumulated in the 3 times, past, present, and future, be dedicated for the unsurpassing great enlightenment. So whatever good things you have done, you should dedicate it by saying that may this good deed become a cause to become Buddha, cause to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So if you dedicate in this way, all the virtuous practices that you have done will never be wasted, never be lost. It's like your money, depositing your money in the bank. Even if you don't get much interest, it will not be lost. But if you keep it in your home, it might be stolen by burglars and things like that, you see. Right? Because if you dedicate it, then next time you get angry, it will not be lost. But if you don't dedicate it, you may have done something good, but next time you get angry, it is destroyed. Virtues accumulated to the 3 times be dedicated for the unsurpassing great enlightenment, and the merits be offered to sentient beings. Don't pray by saying, through this deed, may all sentient beings. Share it with all sentient beings. Always make great prayers. Of the 7 limbs. 7 limbs singirwa yenla dumba. Chao seva. Paying homage. Chopa piwa. Make offerings. Shakpa. Confessing negative deeds. Rejoicing. Jesira. Kuba. Asking the holy teachers not to turn the wheel of Dharma. Choji kolo korwa. Tene. Jesira. So on them. Requesting them not to die. Not to pass away. And then finally, dedication. Kewa chungse dagi chiza batam zoba changju chebru ngo se dedication. Tukse kores. Ta dusa ngado nyamne che korda yenla dumba dusa chemba chene. And the merits be offered to sentient beings. Always make great prayers of the 7 limbs. Doing thus, both merit and wisdom will be accomplished. So if you continue to do this process of practice, then your sonam will be increased, your merit will increase, your wisdom will increase. So the development of, when you develop these 2, merit and wisdom, then through that you will be able to remove the 2 obscurations. The obscuration to nirvana and obscuration to enlightenment. And the actualized human life becomes meaningful. So this is the way to make your life meaningful. Make life meaningful. And then gradually, thus one attains the unsurpassing enlightenment, means then gradually you will become a Buddha. And what is the benefit of becoming Buddha? If you become a Buddha, then you really will know how to benefit sentient beings. And when you are not a Buddha, you may have the wish to benefit others, but you will not be able to exactly know what is their need, what is their thinking. That's the wealth, then finally the wealth of faith. We discussed this a little bit earlier. So finally, because this is so important, he concludes this by saying, now from henceforth, you take more care of this 7 wealth than your material wealth. That dirida. That is such a bodua. That is nyargores. Chalanguni zurese gorda. That angoti wealth of faith. Faith calling of the Shesaimba. The wealth of morality, ethics, we discussed already. The wealth of presence of embarrassment. That means shame. And that means concern for others. And third, the feeling of shame. And fourth, hearing. The wealth of hearing. And fifth, the wealth of giving. And then finally, the wealth of wisdom. These are the 7 wealth. These aspects of wealth are the 7 inexhaustible treasure and should not be related to the non-humans. That means these aspects of wealth, these 7 wealth are not like the ordinary wealth. Ordinary wealth, if you use it, they'll come to an end, they'll finish. For example, I have this watch and I give it to Anila. And then if I give this watch to you, then you get one, but I am without watch. This is ordinary wealth. But with this inner qualities, if I share, whatever I share, nothing will be lost from me. I will in fact become richer. The inner quality, this is the greatness of the inner qualities. The inner qualities like education, knowledge, the more you share, the more you become richer. The wealth, the more you share, the more you may lose also. Right? And the ordinary wealth, I told you, it becomes an excessive baggage. Sometimes taking land love propose suggesting to the Kadu and Jola Daba. Sergap to Lama Kigo. That's the mayor that do. I did it. That day Kurvoyana Kuma dance loud. Jalama Kido and Kuma tung their Javelon. Kurvo came in a Kuma Yamaro. I didn't Chapardua. These aspects of wealth are the 7 inexhaustible treasures. Zoye Juchala dirisi orda. Hang sai redwa. Zoge maybe Juchala. Kume kumutuva, chakwe chumutuva. And should not be related to the non-human city. Aya yorwa non-human dungde dinde. Yaga dinde kejashina kungrosa chinge dinde ta hijuya marasilagor. Bodhicitta is very important. But there may be people who don't like bodhicitta. So don't share that, because they will develop negative image. Where is this person have achieved Buddhahood? I've never seen one. So they will start despising the teaching. Rwa, konawa bdin heju mar kanjum ju heju mar segura. Konawa manye khechikla hiena. Rwa, ngazo nangla jida thar ngodo mar ngazo phebe chisa nangla chul thana hime hina mege china di hiena ta di khala te me yo singen rawa dinde. Ta tingsa karche ani chi imbe sige rawa. Re tinde labge yorwe. Ta khachi nye ko labge duwa. 다 등산 희우쳐 장도 안에 제임베 세로인데 녀고네 저 약보면도 같죠 뭐지 듣고 대파매게는 희주요 말씀을 so don't share, that is the meaning. Don't share it with those who have no belief, no faith. Finally parting advice the kharese na no jinna ba dedan mesen memai la jo mejas Are ta chik ma sang do chi so re what happened memai la jo mejas ta di je la ta di he mangbu jam go ji du su sim so mangbu na do ngala ta chik pur ne ga sem ta dor de na dire. All those things that I have explained, if you want to summarize it, you summarize it into the practice of this preserving this seven wealth. Dina dudur ta mangbu he de do na dina dudur. Even that is difficult, then it can be summarized into the last line. Mangbu na do ngala ta chikpur ne ka semla ta dor de na dire se ta chasang go so mundo na. If you are unable to understand all these teachings, then I am summarizing it, he is saying. The one way of summarizing it is the practice of the seven inexhaustible wealth, faith and so forth. The final way of summarizing it is, when among many, watch your words. When remaining alone, watch your mind. Mangbu na do ngala tas. What? Domtamba finally asked Atisha that yes, now we had wonderful discussion and extensive discussion, but for many people, still this may be difficult. So how can you summarize it? Now please give me a profound teaching which summarizes everything. Then Atisha, he said, Mawa mangbu dikweju talking mangbu nang to ngalata seju dan dikheju dan mawa mangbu dikweju se. Keja mangbu hina dikwa sa ge juri hira pendo yomara se ore. Mawa mangbu dikweju talking too much is cause for accumulating negative deeds. Naming chewa dikweju se. Too much distraction is source for committing negative deeds. That is a chungjung res masam celebrate. Chungu nyomo chempo long celebrate. Rava me chungjung shona hingna me sigdo adena chi chungu jigre sam yomares. Dikpa jina when it comes to stopping the negative deeds, even if it is small, don't say it is small. A spark can create a forest fire. So refrain from committing those negative things, even if it is small. Similarly, when it comes to doing virtuous practices, again don't despise saying that ngada changju sem gomgi indi chungjung de phento ma de labju mares. Chungjung ji na chegores. Chungu nyomo chembo bo. Semje nyomo yule ju thakdo khungdu lenji be chigla tyo na chig thoshing ta dire. Sentient beings are outcome of affect emotions. So they have this natural tendency to get angry, to develop jealousy and so forth. And because of this, if you don't shut your mouth, speak too much, if you praise somebody, others will get angry. And when unnecessarily if somebody gets angry or if you get angry, this will destroy your virtuous deeds. And if you say too many things and people get angry, then they will start, giving you nicknames. They will make sarcastic remarks. So if you misuse your speech, it is only an invitation that you are sending to the enemies. You are creating more enemies. Even in the case of good speech, soft speech, if you speak too much, this will also harm others. Shetana patam pulanus, semes setana dangzi chimbana celebrate. Shetana patam pulanus. Even a father, if he speaks excessively, even though good for the child, but the child will not listen. The power ningal maji like the amaningal maji like the legua. Here town of Padam Pulinus, Pavetamina Pulinurus. Set on the Dang's Chibanas, Dangzi Akuri, by saying honey is good, honey is good. If you eat too much, your liver will be spoiled. What did it? Watch your speech. Watch the object towards which you are using your speech. And then see whether it's better to remain silent, whether it's better to speak. So depending upon with whom you are going, if you are going with somebody who is a scholar, try to say things which is scholarly. If somebody is kind, try to speak those kind words with that person. So depending upon that, people with whom you associate, try to say those things which is appropriate to that person. So instead of using wrong verbal speech, engage more in recitation of prayers and engage more in saying pleasant words and so forth. And most of the time, even if some people say something which is not to your taste, you hear unpleasant words, then you should remain as a dumb person. If you want to become a good Dharma practitioner, then kabre weba nashi degoras, kabre loa nashi degoras sigdua. Loa ina yapo hiu atachi ka thongu marwa. I think this year, when I went to see my relatives in the settlement, in our neighbor, there's one person who became blind gradually. So he came to see me. So on the one hand, of course, he has problem because he is blind. But on the other hand, he also spoke about many good things that he was able to do. Because of being blind, not being able to move around, he was able to spend more time doing practices. When we hear too many things, see too many things, then our mind's reaction to those negative things, then our preconceived ideas, all those things come up and brings a lot of turmoil. So sometimes you need to act as if you are blind. Sometimes you have to act as if you are deaf. Hear only those things which you need to hear, not everything. See those things which you should see, not everything. The problem with us is we never see what we should be seeing, but we will continue to see what we want to see all the time. Even if you go to listen to His Holiness teaching, when somebody goes to listen to His Holiness teaching, and then if you ask that person, what did you hear? He will say, very nice. And if you ask, what nice teaching, what nice teaching, what nice teaching, then he will normally tell something which he already knows before he has listened to His Holiness. So even when you listen to the teaching, you just take those things which is in harmony with your way of thinking, your way of life. So there's the thing. So all this is because of your perception, your mind. So therefore, most important thing for a Dharma practitioner is to control your mind, to judge your mind, wherever you are. Okay, so this completes the text we have distributed. So out of these many topics dealt in this question-answer format, it can be summarized into the 7 points, and this can further be summarized into the 2 processes of examination, watching one's mind and watching one's words. So therefore, next time when your mind is attracted towards physical form, then you should see whether your mind is a physical form. Similarly, when it's attracted to a sound, you should see whether your mind is a sound. Your mind is not a physical form. Your mind is not a sound. So that way you are able to stop the mental distraction. The mind is no color, no shape. It is like a rainbow. If you try to pinpoint it, you will not be able to find it. So that will lead to the conclusion that all my experiences are based on my mental projections. So the more you are able to shape your mind, control your mind, the better it will be for you as a practitioner. So finally he makes a final kind of dedication and prayer, where he says all these teachings are teachings of the respectful teacher Avalokiteshvara, and may this teaching flourish towards all directions. And by making this teaching available to all directions, may those people who lead a corrupted life come to an end, and may the negative imprint that is there in the mind of everybody comes to an end. May they are delivered from the land of ignorance, and through gradual process of travel through the spiritual paths and grounds, may they all finally achieve the Buddhahood. So this completes the 23rd chapter and completion of the text. This ends the Bodhisattva Garland of Gem, composed by the Indian abbot Devamkar Shirijana Paranjana Garba. This is translated, proofread and finalized by this Indian abbot himself and the translator Bhikshu Sudam Gyalwa. I got access to this text maybe earlier, but His Holiness, I was able to receive this teaching from His Holiness in the year 2003, during which I made this draft translation. And then gradually I saw this. I once bought this huge text related to this from Anjani Gatila. There is a bookshop. So since then I was fortunate to be able to get more in touch with this wonderful text. I'm really, really happy to be able to share this to you. You may or may not have benefited, but I have benefited because I have been sitting over this text for the last many, many days. Thank you very much. Thank you.